Hello and welcome to episode 7 of Brilliance with Young Ones. Thank you, Aria, for being here.
You're welcome.
How are you today?
Good.
Okay, I'm just going to check we're live. Yes, we're live. Okay, so Aria, how old are you?
11.
And which grade are you studying in?
5th.
You're in the 5th grade? Which is your favorite subject?
Probably language art.
And do you love going to school?
Sometimes.
Okay, what don't you like about school?
Math probably, and the mean people there.
Oh, there are mean people in school?
Yeah.
So how do you deal with them? Like, do you just not speak to them, or do you do something different?
Well, sometimes I go to we have a school counselor that helps us with like drama stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes I go to her all the time. And sometimes when they're mean to me, I just get so mad. I be mean back to them.
Okay, and does that work?
I mean, going to the counselor does, but being mean back doesn't, because it's just they want you to be mean back because they like the drama.
Right. You don't enjoy the drama at all, do you?
No.
Okay, so what happens with the counselor? Like, what does she say if you go to her?
She just lets us speak the whole time, and she just wants to know what happened from like other sides of the kids' stories. Like she wants to hear from my side and then from the other person's side. And then she like solves it by telling us like stuff to do. And mostly it works, but sometimes it goes in a cycle. Like we're nice, then we're mean to each other again. It's like
Right. So what do you use the tools of access there? Do you talk to Anthony or Julia about it?
Well, yeah, I do, but like we don't really think of like doing access about because I'm just so mad about it, I don't really think about anything else but that.
Yeah, I totally get it. So do you ever talk to Dad about it?
Yeah, I talked to both of them about it.
And what did they say?
Well, I mostly talked to my dad about it because Julia, she's like, oh, I don't want to hear about this. Like, go talk to your dad about it. Like,
Okay.
and my dad, he's like, well, he says the B word. Oh, he's like, well, there's in the world, says the B word. He's like, and you just can't help it because, like, there's jerks in the world, like, you won't expect, like, to run into them. Like, they'll just be in your schools all the time. But they'll be nice people too. And he says, just don't talk to them and stuff. Just go to the guidance counselor and stuff.
Yeah. Okay. So has there been so how old were you when Dad started with Access?
When I started Access,
Yes.
I
Yeah.
was 3.
Okay. And so you pretty much you've been doing Access for a really long time. That's like
Yeah.
8 years. Wow, that's a long time, Arya. So is there a story that you'd like to share where things were really messed up and it changed?
Well, I have this one story that it didn't really mess up, but it started that I really wanted, like, we were shopping and I found these, like, boots. Like, I really wanted them. They were, like, fuzzy boots. And then my dad's like, well, I don't know if I'm gonna get them. He's like, just ask questions and you might get them. So I started asking questions each day, and then I just gave up because I was like, I'm probably not gonna get them either way. And then the next thing I know, I get the fuzzy boots, and my dad made me talk about it on a video, and just saying like I asked questions and I got my fuzzy boots.
So how do you, like, who got it for you then?
I don't remember, but like I guess I think it was my dad. Maybe I was just like asking questions by creating more money for him, maybe. So he could, because we weren't that as I could, oh, I don't know what the word is, but we lived in a small home back then.
Okay.
Kind of hard.
So how old were you then?
I think I was 7 when I asked for the fuzzy boots.
Wow. How does it get better? So what kind of questions did you ask?
I think I was asking like, how can I like get fuzzy boots? Like, how can I create it? And like, just how can like I get it or my parents get it for me?
Right.
But I was just asking those kind of
So it
questions.
just showed up. Like, yeah. That's cool. That's cool. So is there something that you're scared of? Are you scared of dark? Or are you scared of sleeping alone?
I'm scared of like the scary stuff, like the made up stuff, because my brother scared me about it when I was little. So now I'm still kind of scared about it. Vincent scared me, not my other brother Elijah, but I'm just scared of like the made up stuff because they're like just all creepy. And I am scared of sleeping alone at night. It's just I don't like the dark that much. So when I'm scared, my dad's like, use the entity tools. I'm like, I'm just scared of the made up stuff. They might not just be entities. He's like, well, just use them. And so my dad does office hours. It's where he like clears entities or talks to them. And sometimes he asks me to do it with him. So he like, do you want to clear, communicate, or receive from them? And you can do either one. So I won't be scared at night, but just
scared of them anymore, or even the made up stuff anymore once you do that?
I'm still scared of them. It's just the entity tools, in my opinion, they don't like help me not to be scared. It's just like they help me to like talk to ghosts, I guess. Like
okay. But it's a little more easier for you to just go to sleep once you use those tools.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So so do you enjoy talking to them? Do you enjoy talking to entities?
Sometimes, but sometimes they're weird.
Okay.
They're not very comfortable to talk with sometimes because they might not be related to you. But,
right. Right.
They're just sorry.
No,
They're just
go on.
like there to like they're just around like everywhere. Like they're just there and it's creepy when you think about it.
Yeah, cool. So you've been to a lot of access classes, right? You go to a lot of them, and you also take sessions from Anthony. You take the ASB sessions. That's Anthony's observing.
Oh, I don't really do the class. I just like go there to like travel and I like meet new friends around the country. But my dad makes my brothers do it because they're older. And he's like, Aria, you can go play. I'm like, yay, because I don't really like doing it because it's just boring to like just sit there, in my opinion. But I guess everybody else thinks it's
fun. Okay. And do you like the ASB sessions that Anthony does?
I don't know because I don't really pay attention to them. And most of the time I just think that he's just saying the same thing because it's just boring to listen to my dad because I live with him. I've lived with him for my whole life. So I already listened to him. So.
Okay. What has your experience been with him? What is your first ASB session like? Like, what was it like? Did you feel anything? Did you not feel anything? Was it boring? Was it fun?
Well, we went to South Africa and my dad was teaching there. And there's these girls that I played with there, and he's like, "Why don't you try it out, Aria? Just for like 30 minutes." I'm like, "Okay." So the girls and I, we like ran each other's like processes, I guess, and we were getting really bored. And it didn't really like do anything. It's just, what was it? I don't know. We didn't. It didn't. I don't feel anything. It's just I was really bored.
Okay, cool. Okay, okay. Okay, cool. So, is there any tool that you use on a daily basis which brings a lot of joy to you, or is there anything at all?
I don't really use a tool on a daily basis, but if I were to like my parents, sometimes I don't ask them, I just do it. Like they don't know sometimes I do this, but I just ask questions for like I like ask questions for I like how could I get more money, or even if I'm young, but how can I like just like get more stuff, because like I want to be cool like the rest of the people
Yeah,
in my school, because like
yeah, cool. So, and you get it when you ask for it?
um yeah, I mean it just takes a while, like I have to be patient, which I am not a patient person, but I have to just wait for it but keep asking questions so it could show up.
So, you don't give up, do you?
Yeah, I feel like if I just gotta keep asking the questions, so no.
That's pretty cool, Arya, to be persistent and never to give up on your asks. Thank you so much for that. Will you call
Yeah.
Dad?
What?
Is Dad
Sorry.
around?
My dad is out there
Okay.
again.
Do you want to ask him to come?
Yeah. Oh, there he's back.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi, God.
how are you, Anthony?
Good. How are you?
Good too.
Hey, sorry. The kids are being.
That's fine. So how's like I know Arya was really little when she started off with Access, and how's hi Vincent. So how has she been as a child? Like, what are her capacities with Access? And I mean, she said she
Yeah,
doesn't
well,
use tools.
it's at the recent etiquette class that Gary did in Houston. Julia actually asked a question. She's like, how can we get, because she is young, right? And this is something that she's used to having in her everyday life. So for her, it is boring, right? When the boys started, they knew that something tragic happened in their life. They knew that their mom had committed suicide. They knew that this was something that was going to help the family. Where Aria was so little, she was 2.5 years old when her mother made that choice. And so for her, she never really, she's starting to grasp onto how important it is now for her and her future, and even for her family someday. But again, when she was 4, 5, 6, it was like, why do I have to do it? It's boring. And can I just go out and play? And so at the recent etiquette class, Julie's like, how can we get Aria to kind of, want to learn how to do all these different things? And he's like, and Gary said to her, he goes, Aria embodies the tools.
Yeah.
He says she is the tools. And she's like, oh. And so it's just one of those things where as a parent, we have to be in allowance, right? Sometimes I have this linear point of view. It's like, oh, you must do it this way like your brothers. But no, she's a different person. She's a different being and at a different time in her life. And so, yeah, but her capacities is that she's definitely aware of entities, right? Because they do keep her up at night. Yeah. She's still struggling with sort of understanding the difference between, is she scared or is she excited, and knowing that, or is she just aware of the entity's fear, right? Mm-hmm. So that's what I'm trying to introduce her to now that she's getting old enough to kind of understand that even though she's feeling the fear of it, it's not her fear, it's their fear, mm-hmm. right? And whatever it is that she's feeling in her body when dealing with entities, that's actually their way. That's how you know what's going on in their world.
Right.
So it's starting to click now, but she's still learning, Mm-hmm. So entity capacities is one. She knows that her mom's around a lot. right? She's like, I think mom's here, her biological mother.
Yeah.
And so we'll have a conversation about that. She is starting to understand that certain moods that she may come home with from school, she's starting to realize that they're not hers, that she's actually mimicking, biomimetically mimicking her friends. There's
Yeah.
sometimes where she'll mimic their grades.
Mhm.
And I'm like, you
Wow.
realize, I go, what did your friend get on that test? And it's like, Aria got the same exact score. I said,
Mhm.
so you have a capacity to heal. You have a capacity to mimic other people's bodies. You
Mhm.
know what I mean? It's like, so what
Yeah.
would it take you to actually choose for you? You know, but she's young. So but these are conversations that we have to have as parents to talk to her so she could start getting the awarenesses on her own.
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
You know, but so Gary's like, don't make her do a body class if she doesn't want to do a body class. She's like, be an allowance. If she wants to go play, let her go play,
Yeah.
you know. But
Yeah.
being the controlling parent that I am, like, no, she must learn it so that mental illness doesn't,
Yeah.
perpetuate on and on and on. She'll get it when she gets it. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
And
She
she
will.
uses the
And
tools in her way now.
yeah, and I do get she's being the tool. Like, the last time I was speaking to Vincent, he doesn't really acknowledge as much as he's being the tools, but he
Mm-hmm.
has so much more ease with it. And he doesn't necessarily do light or heavy. Is this light or is this heavy? He just goes with what pops for him. So
Right.
I think it's easier for children to actually be the tools than actually do it like we adults make it so significant to do it.
Yeah, but that's 100% correct. Because Gary even said it. He's like your kids aren't as slow as you.
Yes.
He's like, so it's like, yeah, you still have to like ask the question where it's like he is the question already. It's like he gets it. Like when Gary will do the expanding exercise with Vincent, and he'll ask him to pull, especially when he's actually helping him to audition for
Mhm.
like a movie role. And he's like, Vincent gets it instantaneously. He gets it in an instant. Whereas like when he works with adults, it takes them a little bit longer to pull that energy in. And it's like, yeah. So, and here's the biggest thing we learn in Access is like when we're being it, it's hard for us to acknowledge that we're being it because we all already are it.
Totally. Totally.
So yeah.
Do you want to share that bit about Arya healing the family lineage, like just before we got onto the
Well, gosh, I think this was like around the time. So if I started Access when she was 3, I think it was about a year later. It was a brand new body process that came out. And it was called biomimetic mimicry. And basically it's where we mimic other people's bodies and physiologies or even mental thoughts, feelings, and emotions, so much so that like it starts to affect our bodies, right? And it's a way that we do that because it's a way for us to understand them, to get into their universe. And so I didn't know that when you run the bars, there's a couple other things you can do while running the bars, but I didn't realize at the time that you're not supposed to run all these other body processes while doing the bar. So I decided to run her bars one day, and I started to verbally ask for the biomimetic mimicry body process to run. And I actually went through and I'm like, what creation or what invention are you using to invoke and perpetrate the biomimetic mimicry of your mother, your fathers, your grandmothers, your grandfathers? Biomimetic mimicry are you choosing? And so I kept saying that over and over again. And it was literally like an exorcism was taking place. And it was
phone.
kind of scary because, again, I was new to Access at this time. And she's sitting here like crying, but not in her normal way. It was
Mm,
almost like another being was there,
mm,
right? And it was almost like this demonic wail, so to
mm,
speak. And it was really weird. And I was like sweating. I was dripping with sweat. She was dripping with sweat. But something told me not to stop, but to keep going. And I kept saying the verbal process. And I think I may have messed it up a little bit. I can't remember in these 10 seconds, but it was something along those lines. And by the end of it, when I'm like, I kept asking her along the way, where's Aria? Where's Aria? Because mental illness runs really, really, really strong on her mother's side of the family. Like so many people have struggled with bipolar disorder and schizophrenia. A lot of people have received electric convulsion therapy or electric shock therapy. So
mm,
again, as a parent, both her grandmother and her mother both committed suicide. Okay, so of course, as a parent, I'm gonna actually, it's like I'm freaking out, right? So as soon as we get a new tool, I'm like, let's do this new tool, so we can change it now. But literally, she was like, ah! And I remember the boys actually came upstairs. They're like, Dad, all the windows are open, and we could hear Aria screaming from like 3 blocks away. And I'm like, yeah, close the windows. They're gonna think I'm torturing my poor daughter. But again, make a long story short, we get to the end of it, and when I finally was like, where's Aria? She's like, I'm right here, Daddy. It was like nothing ever happened. She's like, can I take a shower now? And she's like, and can I have my ice cream afterwards? And then ever since then, she'll come to me now, be like, Daddy, will you run my bars? I don't feel good, or I'm sad, or something doesn't feel right, or I'm scared to go to sleep. So she'll actually come to me to ask me to run bars, because in the beginning, she's like, no, I don't want the bars. I don't want the bars. Whereas both my sons loved it from the start. She resisted it. So I called Gary. I'm like, what is that? I go, is that her demons? He goes, yeah. And he goes, and yours. He goes, and yours. Because you see, we're infinite beings, right? And so at some time in our lives, we aligned and agreed with demons, because we believed that we didn't have the power ourselves. So for whatever reason, we contracted with demons or whatever to do things for us, and those things don't serve any purpose in our lives right now. So it wasn't just her demons and the family's demons, but it was also whatever demons I brought with me from one lifetime to another. So to me, it was like, I know without a shadow of a doubt that we destroyed and uncreated like this generational curse, if you will. Something in the DNA got destroyed and uncreated from my point of view. And, with everything we've been through as a family, my kids are leading amazing lives. They're not perfect. None of us are perfect. We all have our stuff, but it's like,
so I have a question.
You wouldn't know that we've been through what we've been through.
Yeah. So was there like an evident change that came through after that session with Aria?
Well, yeah, she didn't resist my sessions like at all. Like even when I would do the ASB, the first session, she was like cursing at me, throwing pillows at me. Yeah. And then when we were done, she's like, I'm sorry I was so mean. I don't know why I did that. And then again, I texted Gary. He's like, yeah, those are her demons and your demons that are trying to stop consciousness on planet Earth, and especially in your family, because they know how powerful and potent you guys will be if you weren't at the effect of them anymore. And then from that moment on, every time I did an ASB session on her, she would giggle and laugh. And she comes to me and to Julia to ask us to run her bars. It's like ease, joy, and glory. It's amazing. There's no resistance at all whatsoever.
So I have a question to you. So after that episode, like after that thing with Arya, like, did you see any change in your extended family? Did you see any, like, which you may not have acknowledged then, but now looking back in time, is there something that's so evident that is literally like there's an after effect?
Well, yeah, well, it's the thing of it is like, the biggest thing is that it's like we have this story, but we're not at the effect of the story. That's the biggest thing. We're not like, if something's not working out in our lives, let's say we're having a bad moment, we don't go to the story as reason and justification to choose less. You know what I mean? So it's like we're actually like, or just a regular family. You would like, it's almost like as if that story never happened. We have the memory of it, but there's no physiological effects of it. You know what I mean? We're not like looping back into that story of trauma and drama. So I would say that's the biggest thing right there. And especially for the teenagers. I mean, my oldest son is 19, and he probably had the hardest time because he was the oldest with it. But at the end of the day, he's still choosing for him, and he's doing a fabulous job. And again, one of the hardest things as a parent is to be an allowance. And I'm a control freak of magnitude. I think I'm an Indian man. I think I have Indian in me. I'm kidding. All my beautiful Indian male friends. I'm just joking. I'm very Italian, very controlling. We're just as controlling as everybody else, especially me. But no, I have to remind myself to be an allowance and interesting point of view.
This is really brilliant, because the way Arya is actually I would say changed so much for everybody, like as if almost like as a choice now of choosing trauma
Yeah,
and drama or not
yeah,
at the age of what, 3, 4?
yeah.
And and
Three.
it's brilliant because in this reality there's so much of that children don't know, and we should overpower their knowing and all of that, only if we actually let the capacities of children contribute to us as adults.
Yeah.
That would have been so much more ease.
Yeah, I mean, and it's funny because like as adults, we're like, especially when we go to a class and we spend all this money at class, and she's just like, I just want to play,
Yeah.
and that's what Garrett says. He goes, it's really just choice and having fun, and
Yeah.
everything else seems to just release and dissipate. But we had, like, as an adult, I'm like, no, must use the tools 24 hours a day, must do a clearing statement all the time to fix this problem. It's like, okay, just how about go out and have fun? And that's what she reminds me of, especially. I'm like, no, you must take this body class with these girls and run body processes on each other. She's like, can't we just go outside and play? You know what I mean? And she's like, this is boring. I want to go outside and play. And I'm like, what do you mean it's boring? This will save your life and maybe your daughter or sons one day. So it's like, I have to remind myself that I'm like, oh, I don't have to be so controlling with this whole thing. And
Yeah.
that's one of the biggest things that kids remind me of is
No
just being
significance.
allowed. Yeah, no significance, no form, no structure, no significance. Exactly. And I've been doing
This
this
is
8 years. You'd think I'd know better by now, but it still comes up, It still comes
yeah,
up.
yeah. This is so cool. Thank you so much, Anthony, for having your kids
Oh,
on. And it's been a pleasure to have them on and to see how beautifully they're actually contributing to you and to the world.
yeah.
What an invitation, truly. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Yes, I'll
Talk
see
to
you
you soon.
soon. Bye
Okay.
bye.